You're in one. That's well done.
We tried our best to recreate our own little version here. We're talking about organic food here because the world's biggest organic food and drink store is coming to Britain. It's the American chain Whole Foods, and it's opening a flagship store in the heart of London on Wednesday. Now, it is only one store. It's in a fancy bit of London, and it is selling food that you can see is probably going to be a bit pricier than the stuff you might buy yourself already in the supermarket. But any retail experts that we've spoken to about this say this is going to be a sensation. They say that this one store will do enough to change the way that your supermarket sells organic and locally grown food to you. Well, let's take a look at some facts and figures on this, first of all, about organic food. Now, the global market for organic food and drink was worth £16.7 billion. That's across the world. Here in the UK, sales of organic food topped £1.6 billion last year. That is 30%. 30% more than the previous year. And 2 out of 3 shoppers now say that they knowingly buy organic food. It doesn't just accidentally end up in their basket. They go out of their way to buy food that is organic. But most of them say they would prefer to buy local food, even if it isn't organic, than buy organic food that is flowing in from around the world. Now, Whole Foods is going to mean a change, we are told, for the way that organic is sold in our stores. It also could mean a different deal for farmers here in the UK as well. Natalie Berg is with me. She's a retail analyst at Planet Retail, and as you'll hear from her accent in just a second, she knows quite a bit about Whole Foods. Tell us a bit about it.
Yes, I do. Whole Foods is America's largest organic food store, and it's the largest organic food store in the world. We've got several hundred stores across the US and a few in Canada. Sales are about £6 billion now, and they want to double this to £12 billion in the next few years.
I know from our colleagues in New York who shop in this store that it has the nickname Whole Paycheck.
Yes.
It is seen as a little bit expensive.
Yes, it is not concerned with price, as many of the other multiples are in the US and the UK. So it's definitely looking for the, an affluent shopper, and it's able to charge a premium for its products.
It is just one store.
It is.
And it is in a part of London that is fairly fancy, fairly sort of snooty, I suppose, Kensington High Street. How's that possibly going to make any difference if you're doing your shopping in Watford, in Sheffield, in Manchester, in Glasgow, in Belfast, in Cardiff?
My answer is it's not at first. I think initially they're going in with a bang, and many UK consumers don't know who Whole Foods is, so they're really trying to create brand awareness, and eventually they may expand. I know they've set up to 40 stores across the UK, but initially they're targeting a really affluent part of London, where within walking distance you've got a Marks and Spencer and a Waitrose and a Harrods.
But all those stores that you mentioned, M&S, but also to a degree Waitrose and Tesco and Morrison's also do locally produced produce. They also do organic produce. They're there already.
Right, they are, but they've got a limited range. And I think when you compare the US to the UK is much more developed in terms of organic ranges by the major multiples. But I think what Whole Foods is going to do, they're going to come in and they're going to offer a much wider assortment, and they're going to position themselves as a specialist and the educator. So I think that's how they're really going to differentiate themselves from. I
just wonder, though, there is, of course, a great deal of hype about this because there's such a well-known name in the industry. People that you talk to in the industry are excited about it. It just feels ever so slightly like there's a lot of hype and we're in danger of being taken in by it.
Ooh, I wouldn't go that far. I don't think Whole Foods can. I mean, when you compare even their sales to Tesco, they're only about $6 billion at the moment, so they still are only about 1 or 2% of the whole market.
But that's precisely my point. If their sales are going to be that small anyway, why would Tesco even be remotely bothered by them? It's sort of like the gnat on the back of an elephant.
Because I think it's going to make everyone raise their game, because if you see the stores, they're very well merchandised, very well designed, and it's a great shopping experience. The top floor of this first store is dedicated entirely to food service, which is not typical in your Tesco or your Sainsbury's. So I think they're really coming in and trying to create a strong brand for themselves.
OK, Natalie Berg from Planet Retail, nice to talk to you. Thanks for joining us here at the Stock Exchange. We're interested in your thoughts on this, of course, today, what you think about organic food sales in the supermarket. It might surprise you to know that only 2/3 of organic food in supermarkets actually comes from farmers in the UK. In an hour from now, we're talking to the chief executive of this store. He's flown in from the US, and his first interview is here with us here on Breakfast. So that's John Mackey. In an hour from now, questions for him through the website or text on 61124.
All right, thanks very much, Declan.
Now, the saying is, isn't it, the good fence